On the frigid night of February 6, 1871, a 25-car freight train known as Extra Number 3 departed Greenbush, a suburb of Albany, southbound along the Hudson River Railroad line. Because the train's iron wheels became brittle in bitter cold, its brakes and axles were inspected before the train began its journey. Coupled with the fact that the train was hauling oil-filled tank cars, that night's run was filled with uncertainty. The train's conductor, Edgar Underwood, despite being experienced in his job, failed to adhere to a new safety procedure that called for him to string a bell rope through the cars to alert the engineer of an emergency. The same night, at the 30th Street Depot in New York City, the Second Pacific Express was 6 minutes late, leaving for Albany, Buffalo, and points west. Despite the delay, the railroad superintendent advised its engineer to use caution and to avoid trying to make up lost time due to the weather. As it traveled northbound along the route, it lost additional time. At 10:17 p.m., as the freight train exited the tunnel just north of the New Hamburg station, Dan Carroll, the station switchman, observed sparks emanating from beneath an oil car in the middle of the train. Determining that a broken axle was causing the sparks, Carroll attempted to alert the middle brakeman, Underwood's brother Charles, who was in the caboose to stay warm. When the damaged car passed over the switch just south of the station, the axle disengaged, causing the train to bounce while it proceeded forward. Without having the bell rope installed, none of the crew could alert the engineer to stop the train. As the train neared the drawbridge over the Wappinger Creek, the damaged car struck a bridge piling, tearing away from the preceding car and flipping over. It came to rest at an angle across the northbound track. Finally stopping the train and aware that a northbound train would be arriving at the location soon, the engineer grabbed a red light and instructed a flagman in the nearby tower to join him running south along the tracks to signal the danger ahead.
As its passengers began to settle in for the night, the engineer of the Second Pacific Express faintly noticed what appeared to be two red lights and a bright white light ahead. He signaled the brakeman to engage the patent brakes, which didn't hold because they were designed for coaches, not large sleeper cars. In desperation, the train was thrown into reverse. Unable to stop, the northbound train crashed into the disabled tank car that sat in its path, causing an explosion. As the northbound train lay on its side on the bridge, all of the oil tank cars and the bridge became engulfed in flames. Within seconds, the burning bridge collapsed, sending a number of the damaged train cars into the icy waters below. The William T. Garner Engine Company from Wappingers Falls responded quickly, and a work train fitted with a crane was dispatched from Poughkeepsie. As shocked residents took in survivors, others began to recover bodies. In all, 22 people died as a result of the accident, and the incident received coverage in newspapers across the country. The 1871 New Hamburg train crash was one of the worst accidents in Dutchess County history, and unfortunately, only a few people even know it happened. Town of Wappinger historian Joey Cavaccini said, "One person was inspired to write a poem 3 years after the accident occurred. The poem, The Hero of New Hamburg, was written by Benjamin Franklin Taylor, and it talks about the horror of what's coming and how the northbound engineer stayed at his post trying to stop the train," said Sandra Vacchio, president of the Wappingers Falls Historical Society. Published in an 1874 book of poems, we have a copy in the Society's collection.